Hi there. I am getting rather towards the end of this beautiful portrait of these lovely little girls. And I am adjusting my screen around if you don't mind. I am going to show you what a bunch of fun I'm having with the hair. It is so gorgeous and has been so fun to do. Um, when you're doing hair, it's very much like when you're doing um, fur, in that you can use your subtractive technique. I'm getting a bunch of things in my hand. I have a black pencil in my hand, and I will add that to some places that are dark. But on the blonde hair, I'll most likely cover that up with a sepia. I have a very cool side of her head and a very warm side of her head. And blonde, by the way, is a like just the lightest brown. It's like blonde, brown with all the color removed. Um, I will put black in the darker hair in places where I don't have to remove it or take it out because that's richer color. So if I have to go in and put some dark hairs coming into the part, and I actually use black, but remember, black on hair, it is a blue base color. So it was even okay for me to put a stripe in here or there on the cool side of her head. But on the warm side of her head, even in some of the darkest places, be very careful how you put this in. Okay, so down here, you'll see it a little more not so filled in. I can still see kind of the paper showing through. That's where I sort of start from. And then I get up to what's going on here. I'm going to set down my black there so it's not the pencil I grab. The pencil I grab might be like a dark sepia, whether in the Faber-Castell or the Prismacolor. It's fine to use Prismacolors on hair. Fur is a little more tricky because hair falls into these ribbons. So it is okay the way it sort of clumps together. So now my warm side of her head has a lot of, I'm using a burnt ochre from Prismacolor to bring in some of the really warm lights. And I'm going to take them down into this area so you can see how I get started. There were all these twists of hair, the what's underneath and what's over. You can follow a whole twist of hair like this. I can follow the whole piece. It's very nice that I sharpened my pencils first, so you don't have to hear me sharpen. Now, the only thing you need to do is go back and do your erasing so that the ones that are on top remain on top. That'll keep you doing a continual line on some of these curves that are happening in the beginning without having to, oh, I have to draw between each hair strand. You'll get to that point where you have to draw between the hair strands, believe me. But in the beginning, oh, and also use your Swiffer or a Kleenex to pick up what you're brushing away. Now, the yellowest you want to get on blonde hair is like a jasmine color. I think there's a light ochre in, I'm using it as my equalizer. I could use it over here to blend the warm into the dark, into the cool, just at the top. I can use it to blend the red into the lighter and some of the areas, but I'm not using it as like, oh, I'm coloring it all over. I'm using it at the end after I've drawn all the light and dark areas. And my lights tend to be like a ivory or cream, depending what brand of colors you're using. So I have light coming across this area. And up in there. Be careful again with your white, because your white, watch what happens. Your white is a blue-based color. So except in that highest highlight spot, which I have one here and I have one here, it'll start looking grayish because it's blue. So you're better off taking your ivory and making your highlights in that as you can. Okay. So we're going to go back and forth with that. We're going to use our Mono Tombow, or the one I like to use, which is just a regular Pentel, but I've cut it into the shape. It's nice and dirty because I've been using it for all these little flyaways, for the over hairs, for some hairs that are crisscrossing and going their own way. Whoops, use my Swiffer, not my hand. When you use your hand, you smudge all the schmutzy stuff right back into your picture, and I just erased it off, and it's dirty from the point here, and I just don't want it going back into the picture. So you can do that. And then you give your pencil a nice place to grab onto to do the flyaways on top. Those flyaways, if you think of a piece of hair like it's a transparent straw and it doesn't really have color, it's blonde hair. It's the brown hair with the hair color removed. I know that I have blonde hair. You can line it with pencil. Be very, very careful with that because the pencil can smudge and make that light hair dirty. Or you can line it with a darker pencil. You know, take your sepia pencil or your darker or even a light umber or something and line it. It's casting a shadow. It casts a shadow. It has places where it looks dark rather than light. Like this one comes across your nose and it's light, but as it gets down in here, it may sort of darken or cast a shadow. So you can line these. It also helps to thin them out. Another thing that helps to thin them out is our wonderful slice tool that I always say everybody's using wrong, because people like to come in and slice in those wonderful flyaways, which works wonderful for hair, by the way. That is completely acceptable. But don't stop there. Please don't stop there. Because what you're really doing is like your removable subtractive way. By the way, down here, I probably don't quite have enough wax down yet to be using the slice tool. Make sure you're pretty well onto the end. And you can see these little slice marks. They make it look more like hair, but you're not done. I just don't want it to be scraped back to the paper. I need to add color. I need to add color where I made a place for the color to grab onto. And I need to fill in between. Let my dark find the in-betweens. Let my light have something on top. This area is much more golden and red than I have it. Don't be afraid to put hair color into blonde hair. It just makes the white parts stand out more the deeper you get with some of the dark parts. And then when you come back with your dark or your equalizing jasmine, they just look so much brighter. So that's a part I need to work on. Sometimes I'm busy talking and I don't know what I need to work on, but this one down here has some beautiful little turns to it. So see, I put the cuts in, but I want to highlight some of the light areas. And bring, whether it's the medium tone, light umber is a wonderful color, excuse me, I lost it, or Beaster, and these light umber, raw umber, Beaster, in the medium light browns to get some of those shades. And you don't want to overdo it. I'm not trying to slice up my picture. Although, yay for the slice tool, that's just creating marks in the wax for the next color to fall into, because in between some of these medium tones, there is an actual dark. So this should be done very soon. It's been so much fun to draw these little girls. Remember down the sides of sort of these ribbon pieces of hair, there will be a dark, there will be golden color, my burnt ochre in this case, and there will be jasmine, and there will be light. And all of those together create the illusion of this blonde hair. You're not drawing yellow, you're drawing brown hair that's light. And over here on the girl with the dark hair, I use really the same colors. Maybe not the jasmine very often, but occasionally a cream, will go in as a highlight. So there it is. When I want to bring something out, I did a slice tool in here and just added my burnt ochre or terracotta, whatever I'm using, as her lights. And then I can go in with my dark sepia and even black, because I need something much darker in between the hairs. But some of her flyaways are light, and I'm going to leave those with, going over them with the lighter pencil. So don't just scratch your paper and then leave it. Oh, she's got so much, because of the cool light, she's got so much of the light blue up here in her hair. I could even add a little more blue to it if I wanted to get it really. A lot of times darker hairs do have a little blue to them. And just like this side of the head, like I said, it's very cool. It's not much more red for the medium tone. It's rather the light umber rather than the burnt ochre or terracotta. Whereas here, it's up in the highlight. It's very cool. So yeah, like I said, don't just leave it with the scrapes. Go over it and leave it with color. Thank you. There's my phone. I'm going to go. Bye.